I wanted to make a video to reflect on my thoughts of everything finance related and finance YouTube related to start the year 2022. And I wanted to do it in a really informal kind of fireside chat or ice side since it's actually freezing where I am. So I'm going to do the best I can, just kind of off the cuff and go from there. So the month of January of this year was one of the worst months we've seen in a very long time for stocks. And it's really led me to reflect on various different things I've seen on YouTube and different YouTubers that have become very famous over the last several years in the bull market that we've seen. So I've really noticed in recent weeks how some of the famous YouTubers that a lot of us may or may not look up to seem like they've kind of disappointed their audience and reversed some of their core ideas and philosophies, and they're getting hammered for it, and in some cases, rightfully so. But my thought is that a lot of these other YouTubers actually inspire others to go into this too, like me. Like if I didn't see other people doing this on YouTube, I probably wouldn't have started a channel myself. And I think that especially for younger people that just start out investing, a bull market can make a lot of people look like geniuses, and a bear market can make a lot of people look like fools. And I don't necessarily think that people ever intentionally mean to mislead their audience. I think that there can very often be honest mistakes and just, learning experiences. But so my reflections on this new year and what I've seen going on, like I said, I've been inspired by many other YouTubers that I've watched making personal finance content, and that's what's inspired me to take the leap and to make similar content as well. And really, in the finance world, there's two big and sometimes conflicting schools of thought. In the first case, you hear about long-term investing, and some of the key tenets of that philosophy are, as a function of working your whole career, invest in tax-advantaged accounts, max out your 401k, max out your Roth IRA, invest in index funds, and just ride the wave of the market, whether it's bullish or bearish. The idea is that in the long term, the market will be ahead, and generally that's right. And then the other school of thought, which tends to see a lot of the more famous YouTubers fall under, is the short-term investing and kind of like hashtag YOLO, live for today, go all in kind of stuff. And I think in a lot of ways, a lot more exciting content comes from that. But me personally, I'm kind of somebody that tries to seek middle ground in almost anything I do. And I really kind of take aspects of both in my investing philosophy. I totally agree with the merits of the long-term tax-advantaged investing strategy, but I think what's happened, especially over the last couple of years, there's multiple different phenomena that are influencing younger generations to want to achieve things now. There's the Great Resignation going on, where you're seeing millions of people quitting their jobs after the Rona started. You've seen after companies started allowing people to work from home, people got a taste of something different. And now that some companies are starting to take that away, and people have had a couple of years of being able to work at home and having a taste of, I guess, a better life in terms of not just having to work in an office forever. Now that people are starting to be forced back into that office environment after having a taste of something different, it's driving things like the Great Resignation. And I think things like that are creating an environment where younger generations, while they may understand that the long-term investing mindset is really the safest and most sustainable and reliable source of creating and generating wealth, they also want to benefit now. A common school of thought among younger generations is that they want out of the workforce, they want out of corporate jobs, they want something better and something different. And I think this is what inspires people to start businesses. This is what inspires people to take on entrepreneurial ventures, starting YouTube channels, starting any kind of thing they can do to generate income without having to work a corporate job. I can totally relate, trust me. So really, my investing philosophy is a combination of the two. I totally, and I do both. I totally believe in the long-term investment mindset. That's probably the core of my ideals. But there's so many, see, finance is a very broad subject, and it's a very broad area encompassing so many different things. You hear about dividend investing, you hear about long-term tax-advantaged indexed funds, you hear about options trading, futures trading, and of course, in recent years, so much about cryptos and even NFTs. And I think that on platforms like YouTube, a lot of famous YouTubers, as they grow, they tend to pump different investments, different cryptos and NFTs and stocks and things like that. And I think everybody means well when they get into this. I mean, everybody wants to make money. It's a capitalist system that we live in. And I generally don't think that anyone intentionally misleads their audience. And it's certainly something that I would never want to do. But I can see the appeal in short-term investment vehicles as well. I don't recommend, and again, none of this is financial advice, but I wouldn't recommend YOLOing everything and living for today and just putting everything and maximizing your risk and hoping that for an immediate payoff. But I can certainly see where options trading is certainly a viable source of income, and there's so many different ways you can trade options with calls and puts and leaps. There's collars, straddles, there's covered calls, covered puts, selling calls. I mean, just look at Warren Buffett, one of the most famous long-term investors of our time. He does options trading, and there's a lot of people that don't even realize that, but that's how he's made part of his fortune that he has. And yeah, it's risky, especially when you're buying call options in a bearish market. You can lose a lot of money, but you can gain a lot of money as well. So I can see the appeal of things like that. But I think it's important to definitely not mislead and lead people in the right direction. I mean, there's no guarantee in anything in life. I mean, there's no guarantee that you'll wake up the next morning, in all honesty. So I think that really, like I said, the two schools of thought between long-term investing and short-term investing, I think there can be a happy medium between both. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one extreme or the other. I personally believe in both. And as my channel content and my audience continues to grow, I'm going to talk about all areas of finance and continue talking about all areas. I very much see the potential in options and even futures trading in addition to stocks. And I think another thing too, I think people shouldn't over panic when we get into a down market. The market almost always recovers. And I think that a key source of panic occurs when people take on too much risk. And taking on too much risk can result in, like with options trading, you can lose everything you have in it. And it can create, for people that are not experienced with investing as much, it can create fear to the point that they may never try certain things again. I think in a lot of ways that's what happened with like my grandparents' generation in the Great Depression, a lot of them never wanted to touch investing again after they saw the market crash to, very close to zero in a lot of cases. And in that situation, there wasn't really stimulus programs like there are now, or Fed policy to cut interest rates and to keep the market propped up like there is now. So I think that when people take on too much risk at a young age and are not that experienced, it can scare them off. And that's definitely something that I wouldn't want to see happen. I generally like the finance community on YouTube. I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm planning to really grow this audience and grow this channel. And I like the appeal of being an influencer because I believe that financial education is something that is greatly underserved in our society. It's really not taught in schools. It's not taught. Society doesn't encourage it in general. And I don't want to be cynical, but I can see where some might believe that the system, where would the system really be if everybody was financially independent? The system in a lot of ways is massively dependent on consumer debt. And for me, I want to help people get out of debt and become financially independent. And I think that, like I said, it's a very underserved thing in our society. It's just not taught properly. And so many people don't understand money, how to handle it, how to manage it, how to grow it, how to be frugal, how to be financially stable and be independent. So, and I think that's what a lot of other YouTubers go into this wanting to do. I think all of us have great intentions going into it. Now, I don't know about the merits of selling courses and charging exorbitant amounts and things like that. My thought is that once someone gets to be a social media icon and they have a huge following, the bigger somebody grows, the more their time is worth. So if somebody's charging, in our minds, exorbitant fees for a course, then maybe they're selling their brand, because in a lot of ways, when you grow big on social media, you become a brand. So then your time and access to you suddenly becomes worth a lot more. But the other side of me wonders, well, okay, if somebody's done so well, why do they need to sell a course teaching? Can't they just do it? But I get it. We live in a capitalist system, and I think that's always going to go on. But in general, I think everybody that's a part of this community on YouTube does mean well. And I'm really proud to be a part of it, and I look forward to growing my channel as many others have done. So that's really all I wanted to say, and thanks for watching.